Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good, good morning. It's indeed 10 o'clock, so I will say that we slowly kick off today's webinar. Uh, it's dedicated, as you know, to EPREL. We will have a live demonstration to product registration and some insights and summary on the recent verification rules that have been introduced. So I already kindly invite all participants to mute their microphones, and I also ask colleagues to help in doing that. So as we have around 700 registered people for today's webinar, I will kick off, let's say, with a slow pace for the moment to allow everybody to have the time to connect. My name is Teresa Selvaggio, and I am Director of Public Affairs at Lighting Europe. I have the pleasure to welcome you today to our webinar and already to thank you for the interest shown for our initiative. Today's webinar on EPREL is part of a series of online events called European Lighting Forum that are public events that we periodically organize to invite the whole lighting value chain to discuss about topics of common interest. Today, we have further broadened the target audience as we have invited also participants from other industries who are interested in EPREL database because they produce energy-related products. Let's have a look together to the agenda of today's webinar. So I will start, as I'm already doing, with a short introduction to the webinar itself, and also with a short introduction to Lighting Europe. Then I will have the pleasure to hand over to two colleagues from the European Commission, from DG Energy, for a live demonstration on products registration on EPREL, and for a presentation on the latest developments introduced. In particular, of course, I'm referring to the mandatory verification of suppliers that is now required since the 22nd of October, so since this week, to register new products in the database. Then a Q&A session will follow that will be moderated by my colleague Alfredo. And finally, our Secretary General, Elena Scaroni, will conclude the webinar with the final remarks. Let me also walk you through some housekeeping rules that we have put together for today's webinar to ensure a smooth and efficient organization and execution of the event. So first of all webcams and microphones will be turned off, with the exception, of course, of the speakers. Comments and questions are welcome via the Q&A box. Please make sure that your name, surname, and affiliation is clearly displayed. And in this respect, please note that we will prioritize questions submitted by people displaying this information properly. The webinar is recorded, so by attending it, you actively consent to the organizers processing your personal data in full compliance with the GDPR. Slides that will be presented today, as well as the recording of the webinar, will be sent to the participants, but also made available on our website and on our YouTube channel. Then we welcome you to send us your feedback on this event. A link will be shared later. One more aspect, let me zoom in for a moment on the Q&A session. So you know that at the moment of registration, we asked you to already submit some possible questions to the European Commission. And thank you very much for your participation. We really received numerous questions, and it was great already to receive your contributions. So all these questions that we have received have been filtered and categorized by Lighting Europe Secretariat. They have been already shared with the European Commission, so they will be possibly already addressed and answered during the presentation and the demo. If you still have further general questions on the operational aspects of the registration of products in EPREL, or if you have other clarification needed on the new mandatory verification, all these comments and questions, of course, are still welcome today during the webinar itself. If you have a technical question related to the upload of a product from a specific technology, please refer to your national and/or European association to have it answered. As I said, let me take the occasion to quickly introduce to you Lighting Europe. So we are the European Association of the Lighting Industry in Europe. We like to say that we are the only voice of the lighting industry in Europe. As of today, we count 33 members representing more than 1,000 companies and employing more than 80,000 people for an overall annual turnover of around 15 billion euros. Please have a look here to our members. As you can see, we have both member associations as well as companies as direct members. You probably will recognize most of these logos. When it comes to national associations, we cover many member states. When it comes to companies, we have the pleasure to have in our membership both, let me say, global and European leaders in the field, but also medium-sized companies, small companies, and in some cases, even micro companies. Then let me quickly introduce to you our new key objectives towards 2030. So first of all, lighting comes first mindset. What does it mean? It means that we want to make sure that lighting is considered as one of the key priorities, especially when a new project, building renovation project is developed. Why? Because it can benefit not only in terms of energy efficiency, but also in terms of well-being of the occupants of the buildings, the schools, the offices. Another key pillar of our strategy towards 2030 is to make sure that a fair marketplace is established. We mean that we want to make sure that only compliant products are placed on the market. And let me say, today's event is an evidence of this effort that we undertake. So while promoting compliance by lighting manufacturers, we also want to make sure that the existing rules are well enforced and therefore that the level playing field is ensured. Another key objective is that we want to make sure that EU lighting industry becomes and more and more is considered as a global thought leader and a technical leader. So indeed, we are members of the Global Lighting Association, where we contribute actively. Our members also actively contribute to the development of European and international standards. And let me mention a figure that attracted my attention over the past days. So last year, more than 600 intellectual property patents were registered in the EU in our sector. So just to show you that the industry is still investing and believing in innovation, in research, and in development. Last but not least, we want to engage the whole value chain of the lighting sector. I'm thinking about lighting designers, installers, wholesalers, distributors, etc. And indeed, events like today, the European Lighting Forum is exactly meant to make Lighting Europe more and more also a platform of exchange along the value chain. Thank you for the attention. Without any further ado, let me introduce you with great pleasure our speakers from the European Commission. So we have Paolo Tosoratti, who is Policy Officer in DG Energy, in particular in the unit Eco-Design and Energy Labeling. Paolo is involved in a number of legislative files related to energy and resource efficiency. In particular, he's currently responsible for the tire labeling legislation and for the computer eco-design legislation. coordinating the new legislative proposals, but also is involved on other preparatory studies and initiatives. He has been coordinating the conception and the drafting of the EPREL database and coordinating the development of the project itself. Paolo holds a Master in Computer Science and a second Master in Energy and Climate Change, on top of professional certifications in the ICT domain, as well as professional experience across ICT, energy, and resource efficiency. He's also co-author of university course books and articles. So you will understand very clearly, Paolo is considered in Brussels the father of EPREL. And then I have the pleasure to introduce you Oscar Miralles. He is IT project manager, collaborating as an external consultant with the European Commission, in particular with DG Move and DG Ener, as IT project manager. Before taking care of the development of the IT aspects of EPREL, he has been working for the European Commission, the Parliament, the European External Action Service in Brussels for 18 years, but also for a European agency based in Alicante in the previous 6 years. He's an expert project manager, business analyst, and product owner with a large background as software developer and databases. So I will not say that Oscar is considered the mother, but for sure of EPREL, but for sure the couple, Paolo Tosorati and Oscar Miralles, are considered the parents of the EPREL database. And now, without any further ado, I can pass over to Paolo for his presentation.
Thank you, Teresa, for this introduction. Too generous, but okay. I hope I will get your interest. So first of all, I hope that you can see my slides. Can you confirm?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. So I will provide some slides of introduction to the topic and to the novelties before Oscar will provide a live demo on the core novelties and in particular on how the verification process will go. I could present topics that are well known by some or most of you, but the reason is that from some questions that Digital Europe anticipated to us that they received, I have the impression that some of the participants today are new to EPREL, so I will make a quick overview in order to set a common denominator for everybody. But so let's start. Basically, everything comes from Article 12 of a Framework Energy Labeling Regulation of 2017. Article 12 sets an obligation of a commission for the creation of a product database consisting of a public part, a compliance part, and a portal leading to these two parts. So this abstract concept of a product database became concrete with the EPREL project. And here on the screen, you can see the URLs of the web interfaces that I think you already know. Maybe not all of you have discovered already the last link to the portal. This is a portal that we have opened last in April. And the goal is to have a one-stop shop where all everything about the eco-design and labeling legislation is put together and is available to everybody, organized according to the expected type of visitor. And in particular, there is a section that is being created precisely for you as a suppliers. I will address suppliers, although the participants are a bit mixed today. So there is a specific question for suppliers where you will find the details of what I will quickly present today. So let's start with who must register, because a recurring question is who should register. Well, the framework legislation is clear on this. The suppliers must register any model of product groups that are in the scope of the legislation before they place on the market the first unit of such model. What are suppliers? The definition says manufacturers established in the EU, and for manufacturers in third countries, the importers or the authorized representatives. So these figures, these subjects must register the products that we place on the European market in EPREL before they place it. What does it mean, placing? It means that before the first unit of a model comes out of a factory, or before it arrives in a container, let's say in a harbor in Amsterdam, so before any official can spot the existence of this unit, then you should have it registered in EPREL. Why are we requiring the verification that we will explain later on? Basically because we need to give a guarantee to you as a supplier, but also to protect ourselves as institution from possible false players, hackers or the like, that could register products and creating image damage for you as a supplier and also for institutions. What we request is that a proof of identity and a proof of establishment in the EU. Why this? Because the compliance control activity is performed by authorities at the national level, and they need to be able to enforce compliance. So in poor words, they need to have a door to knock, a bell to ring, to enforce the compliance. So issue a penalty, a bill, a request of correcting data, taking out the products from the market, etc. Very quickly, this is an overview, a graphical overview of the architecture of a system. It does not correspond necessarily to the physical situation, but very quickly, you as a supplier represented here, you can enter the registration of your models in 3 ways. So either with a machine-to-machine environment called e-delivery. This is used by the biggest producers for thousands of units at once. Or you can use a web interface where you can enter one by one all the parameters, or again, using the web interface, you can upload in a single XML file the description of tens or hundreds of different models. This image here represents the database that is basically three parts or two. It's basically 2 parts. One part is for data that is public, Another part is intended for compliance control purposes. And this includes, but not only, includes documents that are deemed necessary by the authority to perform their controls. So could be typically test reports or installation manuals, depending on the product group, but documentation that the authority has to be able to examine in order to control if what you have declared is correct or not. Something I want to mention is please upload here all and only the documentation that is necessary for this purpose, because we have seen that some companies are uploading any manual of everything as if this was a kind of a repository of a documentation. Now, this is just for compliance control authorities. The authority itself can have access to all this data using a separated different interface, and the authority also records the results of inspections in a system that is known as ICSMS. So this is a database of cases, and there is a link established between these cases of inspection, these results of inspections, and the model in EPREL if the inspection was about a registered model. What you enter in this database remains only visible to you until the day that you set as date of placement on the market. So until that day, only you can see that data and still correct it. From that day, the public part, first of all, that day everything becomes visible to the authority, so both public part and documentation, but the public data is mirrored overnight in the internet cloud in a separate system, where it becomes also visible to anybody with different means, either with an interactive interface that you will know, this EPREL interface. The registration is also visible via QR code, but it's also accessible with the use of APIs. I will provide to you an example of this use by dealers of online stores, for example, but this can be used also for statistical purposes, market research, etc. So the public information was not the first goal of the regulation of this Article 12 for establishing the database, but since the data is there, more and more uses have been found, and now EPREL is becoming more and more a kind of compass to assess what are the green products, for example, according to the taxonomy, and there is a tool to select what are the products that deem to be covered by subsidies, by VAT reductions, to be included in tendering procedures, etc. Because EPREL provides a tool to assess which are the models in the two highest significantly populated classes. So this is also creating some competition to appear in these classes in order to be selected for possible public procurement, etc., etc. Something to mention is that EPREL has been conceived to record energy efficiency information, but more and more we are covering not only the energy efficiency during the use phase, but during the entire life cycle of products. So more and more also the embodied energy, so the energy that is used to make the products, is taken into consideration. We cannot put requirements on this energy for manufacturing or transporting, but we are progressively setting ways to fully exploit this energy that has been consumed to produce the good. And typically, the requirements are covering reuse, reparability, etc. So maybe that for light bulbs, this is not very relevant, but for smartphones, for computers, for white goods, this is more and more important. Something for you to know: when you first register a model, the moment that you enter the brand and the model identifier and you save this, EPREL produces a number that is the key of your registration. This univocal number is included in the QR code that EPREL immediately produces for you. So here on the top right, you see an example of a QR code. When you scan it, the aspect is this, and basically with a smartphone reading it, you go to the page of EPREL where the full description of the product appears. On top of this way, for searching a product via the user interface, you can search by brand, by model identifier. You can put filters to select, to group products according to specific criteria. You can sort them. You can use up to 3 sorting criteria simultaneously. You can assess the class population, etc. And another way to search for products is using APIs. And about the information in the non-public part, basically the framework regulation lists what kind of information has to be put there, and in the interface in EPREL you find all these groups, so that you can indicate for every PDF that you upload to which category of information this document responds. Or for all regulations that have been reviewed from 2019, the parameter values that are crucial to check the correctness of the data that you display in public. These are entered as values. And another thing that is only visible in the compliance control interface is the equivalence of products. So how it works, if you have different equivalent products, where equivalent means that all the values of the parameters included in the label and the product information sheet corresponds, then you have to register the first completely, but then for all subsequent recording, you just indicate a brand, a model identifier. You indicate to which model this is equivalent, and then you don't need to enter any other thing. So only member state authorities can see these equivalents. It is not visible to the consumers. Again, we have created a kind of sandbox. We call it acceptance platform. This is a clone of a production platform where you can play creating your fake organization and products and test, for example, if you have software to automatically upload the data. This is a place where you can freely test. This data is periodically purged, so don't worry, no authority will look at this. The data entry is in 3 forms, as I anticipated. A feature for you to know, and that may become now necessary or useful, is that you can transfer part or all the models that you recorded. Imagine that your company is merged or is split, a division goes to another branch, etc. Then we provide the possibility of selecting models to be moved to another verified supplier. And now why this may become interesting, because some of the suppliers may not be able to pass the verification because they don't respond to the requirement of supplier. For example, a company established in San Marino that has registered products is not cannot stay as a supplier, so this company has to appoint a company, another supplier that is that can pass the verification, that has passed the verification, and move the models to his company. In this way, all the labels that are in the boxes around remain valid. The only thing that changes is the supplier that appears when you scan the product. And now the core aspect of the novelty is that on 2nd of April, we published, the official journal published a new regulation with some operative details for the functioning of this product database. And the most and the crucial articles in this regulation are those that cover the verification modality. As I mentioned, all this is to ensure that the supplier is established in the EU for the needs of enforcement that I mentioned. We refer to the EIDAS for the seals, but the format of a seal is specified in an ETSI standard. And in this ETSI standard, there are possible formats for the content of this verification. So here there is a nuance, a slight difference in the modalities for verifying legal persons, that is a vast majority, and the natural person. We have a few tanks of them that are natural persons. For the vast majority of you, the EIDAS tool that we have selected is the seal, qualified electronic seal. And as said, the ETSI standard has specified how this seal is made in order to have a possibility to exchange the data. ETSI has indicated 5 possible formats, but for our purposes in EPREL, we need one specific of these formats, the one known as NTR, for National Trade Register. Why this? Because this format includes the number of the registration of your company, supplier company, in a national registrar, typically those that are managed by the Chamber of Commerce, such as in my country, Italy. But in a transitional period, we will still allow the other formats. Why this? Because when we contacted the qualified service providers, we found that not all of them were able, at least when we did this exercise, not all of them were able to provide this NTR version. So we have given some time to providers to create this option, and to you also to find providers that can offer this product. In principle, we have now almost 140 service providers in Europe that can provide this service. They are all listed in this so-called EIDAS dashboard. In the slides, by clicking here, you will get the URL. Basically, you will get a page like this. In principle, all of them should be able to provide the seal. In reality, we have written to all of them with a call for interest, and only about 25 provided feedback confirming that they are interested in supporting the service for EPREL and that they can provide what is necessary. Then I think that Oscar will show a slight difference that we needed to set for the verification of legal persons and natural persons. Why? Because natural persons cannot have a seal. This is something that is reserved to legal persons. So for natural persons, we have to do some additional steps to verify that the natural persons has established the activity in Europe. But Oscar will provide the details. This is the timeline for entering into force of the requirements. You find it in our portal. What will happen now? Let's start from the suppliers that already got the verification, so before today. Basically, if the verification was done using this NTR version of a seal, it's done. You are not requested anything else unless you change something in the company, you merge, you split, you move, etc. At that point, we would require that you renew the verification with a new seal with the correct data, because sooner or later we would spot this by querying the situation in national registries. If you voluntarily verified the company using a seal that is not NTR, then let's say we reward you by not asking anything until 22 April 2027, but at the latest by that day you will have to provide the seal with the NTR information. If you are not verified until you don't pass the verification, what happens? Basically, if you are totally new, you are not able to register anything, any model. So you can register all company information, but you cannot register any model. If you were already in the system and you placed already models on the market, these models don't appear anymore in searches or in selections. The only way to see these models is by really searching them, typically scanning the label in a store. Then the consumer will get the information, but with an alert saying that the supplier of this product is not verified with the explanation. This will have an impact in particular on online sales. Something for you to recall is that already the framework regulation sets an obligation on dealers to show the label when selling products online, either showing the full label or showing just the class arrow like this one, and implementing a mechanism called as nested label. So clicking on this arrow, then the user gets the full label and the product information sheet. This mechanism requires that the store knows your registration in EPREL, because we provide APIs so that the store can query EPREL and get this arrow, the product information sheet, and the full label. So in order to put the dealers in a situation to comply with the legislation that requires that they show the label, the implementing act of April requires that you, as a supplier, communicate to the dealer the registration number. So you will be required to tell them this number. And already many of them are doing this. For example, Google is not accepting anymore to promote products if the product is in the scope of a legislation and if the registration number is not provided. It's not yet working, but in the next future, if you are not verified as supplier also in these online stores, the mirror message will appear. Then concluding, this regulation has some other clarifications basically, or details on how to deal with EPREL, but this of the obligation of communicating the registration number to dealers is the most important one. Very quickly concluding, for the public website, we are going to review the graphical aspects, so to make it a bit more appealing for the public. And my last slide is about the portal. Here you find, unless you perfectly know it, but you may find detailed information. And in the section on suppliers in particular, but we have created also a list of FAQs that we are populating more and more, so keep an eye on them as well. And this is all for now by me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paolo. Yes, indeed. Let's pass over to Oscar for his demo, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I will try to make it quick because we don't have much time. I will try to demo how to get verified. For a legal person, I don't have. For natural person, it's a bit more complicated. And how to register quickly a model. Okay. Are you seeing my screen already?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is EPREL. Okay. So where is the information of my organization? If you go here, if you are supplier admin, okay, and you go to manage organization, here you will see the details of your organization, okay? What is important here for the verification? You will have to find a seal that contains the supplier name, the name of the company, okay? That contains the country that you declare here also, that it's Spain. And that contains this number here, organization identifier. This organization identifier is created with the business register number and the business register ID, okay? Plus, because following EIDAS, if it's NTR or whatever, I mean, in this screen, you can choose what type of EIDAS are you using. I'm going to use NTR because it's the one that we recommend now, because as Paolo said, in 1-2 years, we will not allow any other type of identifier. So I choose NTR, and this number is constructed from the NTR, the country, dash country again, then business register ID plus business register number. This number here must be in the seal that you request to the qualified trust service provider, okay? So I'm going to go a bit fast. This is the important data. The rest is your address and other things, but they are not used for verification. How to start the verification? You go here to the verification tab. You click the button, start verification. You need to give the name and the email of the person that is responsible. This is important because in the form that we are going to generate, this information will be inside and it will be useful for the commission in the future if we need to contact you, okay? I'm going to put my name. I put a fake email. And then you request the file, okay? You can choose another language, but by now we have it in English, okay? You say accept, you pass to the next step, and then you have to wait for the verification file to be generated, okay? Usually it takes 1 minute. You can stay in this screen or go somewhere else and come in 1 minute, but I can refresh, okay, it's already generated. I'm going to download it. Okay, I prefer to open it in the PDF to show you how to seal it. So this is the file that our system has produced. I'm going to open it.
Oscar, I'm wondering if you could zoom in a bit, because at least from my side, I see a bit small.
Okay, let me see 1 second. Yeah, when
Let's
I will
see
come
if
back
it
to the screen,
works.
I will
Yeah.
I will zoom it. Yeah, sorry. This one you see correctly?
Yes.
Okay, this is the PDF that we generated. Okay, it contains the name of the contact person that I put before and the email. And then the information about the organization, business register number, ID, and contains a seal already from the commission, okay? This is the PDF that you have to get sealed. Here I'm going to do it directly in the PDF, but depending on the QTSP, there are other methods, I guess. Maybe you can do it in the cloud. Maybe you need a token. I don't know. For the demo, I have a simple seal that is not really qualified, but for the sake of the demo, it's enough. I click here on signing, and then I have to say where I'm going to put the seal. Then I need to select the seal. I have some here for test purposes, but I take this one because it's the one that has the data of my company, Oscar Miralles. I say sign, sorry. You generate a second file. I'm going to change the name and put signed. Okay, perfect. So now this file is sealed by the commission and sealed by you. If I click on the seal, to see that the data that we are going to verify is the correct one, you have to go to the subject. I don't know if you see it, but you have a parameter in the subject that is O, the organization name, Oscar Legal Company. Let me, okay. If I go to the browser, okay, if you will see that this is the name of my company, Oscar Legal Company. The country, Spain, it's the country that I have, Spain as well. And this number, strange number that I told you with the NTR, is this number here at the bottom, okay? These three parameters are the ones that we are going to verify that what you are declaring is what is in the seal. So you are really this company. So I go back to the verification. I was in this step. I have to upload this file that it has been sealed. Is this one that I say signed here? I say upload. And then this file is sent for verification. We are going to check these parameters that I told you inside the seal, but we are going to check also that it's a seal that is qualified and that everything is correct in that seal, okay? This verification can take 1 minute also. Let me refresh from time to time. Voila, it finished. And I got verified because what is inside the seal of this PDF matches what I have in the details of my company, okay? This is how you get verified. It takes 5 minutes. The most difficult part is to get the seal and put it in the PDF, that's all. The rest is a process that takes 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to the second part of this demo because we have few time to show you the novelties in the registration of like sources, for example. So I'm going to try, now that I'm verified, I can register. So I'm going to register one model. I choose the trademark. I say the model identifier, just. Okay, this is a light source. We have some parts here that are important. You have to fill the public information, okay? This is all the data that we will share with the citizens in the public site, okay? I'm going to say that I'm manufacturer, that it's going to be put in the market, placed in the market today. I'm going to put fake numbers, okay, just to go fast. Okay. Sorry, minimum 50. Okay. 0, 0, 8. Okay. Zero, 9, 9. Okay, 0, 9. Again, 0, 9. And we need to upload an spectral image. Okay, I'm going to save the values before uploading the spectral image, not lose them. Okay, I have a fake one. Don't ask me to open it. Okay, I'm just going to upload it. The spectral image must be PNG or JPEG, and it has to have a resolution of 1024 by 1024, okay? So this is the public information. This will go to the public site when this model will be completed and published on the day of placement, okay? That it will be today. Then you have to give the technical documentation. You said zoom, sorry, and I was not zooming. Technical documentation. We introduced technical parameters as fields. Before we had technical documentation as files, okay, which remains because you need to upload some type of files. So I'm going to upload the technical documentation file that covers all these points. Again, it's a fake PDF. But now it's optional, but in mid-December, it will be mandatory to introduce also these technical parameters. This is new since June this year, okay? Let's see how many crash. Okay, 0.99. Okay, so now I have public information. I have technical documentation that can be useful for the market surveillance. I need to give a public contact. In my case, I had defined one by default in my company, so I don't need to, I can change it if it's not this one, but by default, I will use this one. And now another thing that we introduced this year is that putting a compliance contact is mandatory as well, okay? So to add a new compliance contact, you come here and you add it, or this one appears because I have also one selected by default already in my company, so I don't need to come and put one for this model. All the other tabs are optional, okay? So I'm not going to extend more the demo. So now if you see the model is complete because it has public information, it has technical documentation, public and compliance contacts. So this model is complete. When this data arrive, it's today, so tomorrow morning, this model will change to published and it will be exported to the public site. So this data will be visible by citizens. And this is how you register a model in EPREL. So I think we can stop the demo here and maybe start with the questions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes,
You may
please.
just mention that there was a tab to generate the labels if you need.
Yes.
And
okay.
the product information sheet, yeah.
Yes, as Paolo mentioned, we generate this number here, okay, the registration number. This is the unique identifier of this model that I created, and is the number that will be used to generate the QR code that appears in the label, okay? I'm going to generate a label here so you can see. Well, I will not be able to scan the QR code, of course, but you will see how it looks. I guess it has been downloaded already.
So just to recall what I introduced with the slides, this QR code is generated here, but until tomorrow, if you set that today is the date of placement, until tomorrow you will not see, you will not be able to read the QR code because it's not yet exported in the public website. I say this because many get in panic, don't understand why they get an error when they read the QR code.
Okay, so well, you can generate the labels with the system, okay? And the QR code is the one that contains this number. When you scan this, you will go to the public site. Yeah. Okay, so guys, this is all I wanted to explain today.
Thank you very much, Oscar. It's absolutely welcome, necessary, and insightful. I think all our participants will share these views. Indeed, the questions are popping up in the Q&A chat. I invite everybody to refer and so write down the questions rather than raising your hands if you have any questions. And now, Alfredo, to you, the hot potato, to moderate the Q&A panel.
It's going to be a challenge, but I'll try also to group some of them. I've seen already 2 questions on the duplication, apparently, of the technical parameters. That it's, you have the section in the public information and also in the market surveillance section. So if that could not be already solved to some extent just by taking the one already input and also put somewhere else, because it opens to mistakes possibly, or if there is an intention to solve that. I don't know who between Paolo and Oscar should, probably Oscar, but yeah.
Sorry, I was already reading.
They're piling up, so it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, there is I see a first request of clarification by Mrs. Presutto. The univocal identifier is what EPREL produces. So I don't know who said this, that Milena is mentioning if it was me or Oscar, but okay, the idea is that the EPREL produces a registration, and this is a univocal identifier that is leading to the registration. So it could be that a supplier changes something in the model for example, an internal component, if this change modifies the performance of a product, changes the value of any parameter, then usually the supplier, the manufacturer keeps the same product identifier, but according to the legislation, if the performance changes, it should enter another registration that will have another EPREL identifier corresponding to this modified product. From Mrs. Marinas.
If I may, there are also a few questions on how do we say that? On the technical documentation, but yeah, on the signature of the EPREL NTR. Since now the new ECO will have the NTR, does it have to be the same as the one on the declaration of conformity, or can it be different?
No, there is no relation between different declarations. What we need is a proof that the supplier is real, is what he declares to be, and that is established in the EU. This is the purpose of everything. For you to know, service providers provide a number of different services, more or less sophisticated. For example, seals can have a validity ranging from 1 month to 2 or 3 years, and can be produced in one copy or in hundreds, etc. What we need for EPREL is just one seal that lasts until at least the day that you submit the declaration. So if the seal expires the day after, no problem. For us, it's a kind of a mechanism like when you pass a boundary with a identity card. The day that you pass the boundary, your card has to be valid. If it expires the day after, okay, no problem in respect to us.
Okay, good to hear. And just also following up, because these are questions that I've seen going around.
If I can put more precision on this, because this is a recurring question. Many are asking, but if the seal expires 1 week after, what will happen to my products? Nothing will happen. You have been verified, and basta you will remain as verified in the system.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry.
just to avoid any fear for
yes.
Okay. Now, and one other thing is that when will actually EPREL start recognizing same models between if I'm uploading a model of a product and it recognizes, hey, listen, there is this other one that is similar. Is it already doing that, or will it start to do that soon? Because I see people that are commenting that that is not happening, the equivalence of models. So
be careful. Equivalence is something the same identical model is another concept. So I don't know the word of lights, but for example, in the world of white appliances, we have some manufacturers that are making the same dishwasher or the same washing machine in the same factory. So all the production is one line, and then at the very last stage, they put the dashboard with a brand or another brand, etc. So there is apparently the machine is totally different, but internally it's absolutely identical. So these versions are in respect to us equivalent, because everything is identical, the performance is identical, just the brand and model identifier changes. So this is a kind of equivalence that we ask to indicate. This does not mean that the same identical lamp, for example, has been placed on the market by another supplier. That is not the concept of equivalence, if this was a question.
I think that was as intended. Then there is actually a question for Oscar on the verification. So the number that should be provided to the service provider for the e-seal is the combined identifier at the bottom of the page, of the verification page. Is it correct?
Yeah, it's correct. But it's not a number that you invent. I mean, it's formed by the country, the business register ID and business register number that you have to ask to your business registry of your member state, okay? With these numbers, you form this identifier, and then that's what the QTSP has to put in the seal, yes.
Yeah. Let's clarify, it's not the supplier that forms this, I mean...
Yeah, that's the thing.
What we need as a commission, we need that a third party, so the qualified service provider, guarantees that you are you by interviewing you, by examining your documentation, by checking in the Chamber of Commerce your registration, the numbers, etc. And okay, in general, the service provider can help you in declaring this number because he knows the job. But if you look at your documents where with a registration in the Chamber of Commerce or analogous, you should see yourself these codes. And what we ask is that you put these codes in EPREL, and the service provider checks, confirms that these correspond, that you are you.
Okay. And going back on the technical parameters, do you have a roadmap, or when the optional parameters, or when they will become optional or mandatory? Yeah.
Yeah, I take it. I mean, we have a wiki, okay? I don't know if everybody knows it, but there is a wiki where there is a roadmap for this. I mean, we have done already technical parameters mandatory already for electronic displays, refrigerating appliances with direct sales, dishwashers, washing machines, and washer dryers. All these product groups, they have the technical parameters and they are mandatory. The next one will be like sources. As you see, they are there, but they are optional. But they will become mandatory on the 15th of December, okay? And the last one, refrigerating appliances, the domestic ones, they have the technical parameters optional as well, and they will become mandatory on the 15th of February next year, okay? That's the only two that are missing. We will not put technical parameters in the all the current product groups. I mean, those that are not rescaled because they don't have them. Basically, the technical documentation is uploaded in PDFs.
Thank you.
Because the regulation basically does not specify the format, just describes what should be provided, but does not provide a table as in the regulations from 2019.
I'm seeing question coming up on the SPR DPP and the relation, because I also see Milena asking about the unique identifier for the DPP. So what do you envision for the relation between EPREL and the DPP in the future? Or what is to be expected in that sense, I would say?
Well, I'm not working on the DPP project, and honestly, I'm not involved. Based on my own experience with EPREL, I believe that the way before we will see the light for the DPP is a bit longer, and also because of the complexities and the sophistication that has been chosen for the structure of this database. What I can say is that for the labeled products, so labeled in the framework of energy labeling, the EPREL can still remain there if the DPP will provide additional or different information. We can easily link DPP and EPREL. And I would hope that in the activities that are related to the registration in the TPP, we have a synergy so that if you get the verification via for EPREL, you don't need to pass another verification for the TPP and vice versa.
Okay, thank you very much. Just sorry, going back to the data and and the timeline, because I read people getting scared in the Q&A. Will it become mandatory? But do we also have to retroactively change all our products and information on the products, or will it only be for new registration for when the data the inputting of technical parameters?
Don't get scared, don't get scared. It's only for new registrations, okay? If your product is already published and visible to citizens, whatever, we are not going to unpublish it. I mean, it will remain published. But if one day you need to do a change in that product, then we will request you to put the technical parameters, okay? But if it's published and you don't touch it, it's okay. It remains published.
Okay.
And if I can anticipate something, for example, for the next coming products, such as smartphones or tumble dryers, because Oscar and colleagues are developing the software to register these. For these products, the parameters will be there since the very beginning. And on top of this, we are implementing plausibility checks and automatic calculations so that EPREL will alert if something is strange, is odd, but giving the responsibility of a declaration always to a supplier. So EPREL will alert, seems not correct, but asks to confirm what the supplier will enter.
Okay, there's a follow-up from Milena. If it would be possible to clarify that the mentioned technical parameters to be uploaded in EPREL, if they are declared values that are mandatory and to be put by the supplier in the technical documentation since the beginning of the ED and EL, which may be different from the published value in the PIS. So it's what I think that she's asking for a clarification on what these technical parameters are and what happens when they are different from the one in the products information sheet.
Okay, Milena could explain herself this, but basically the parameters, the values that are put in the public information sheet are the safe values that are considered published for the public. In the technical information, in these parameters that mentioned, that Oscar was mentioning, then we consider these as the declared parameters, meaning that the supplier has performed the test, has done some measures, some statistical analysis, what is safe to be declared, etc. So what is important and what we will check with the plausibility checks that we will implement is that what is declared, what is published is not more favorable than what is declared. So, for example, if according to the tests that you do, you find that a product should be in class C, and but it's a borderline with B, etc. You could indicate that as declared parameter, this value could be in B, but to be on the safe side and take into account of errors in measurements, etc., you consider safer to declare C. Okay, so this declaration is mostly for these borderline situations where the result of a compliance control may may find a mismatch with what declared, and so it's advisable for the supplier to stay on the safe side and declare always a parameter. Sorry, no, not declare, but to publish in public a parameter that is not better than what really declared. I hope Milena is satisfied with this explanation. Maybe she can be more accurate.
Thank you.
With her experience.
There are a few questions, one or two, because what happens if, for example, my company, we change office and we move somewhere else? Do we need to redo the seal, or is it only worth to update our location on EPREL? So, or do we have to go through all the verification process? I would assume that if anything changes with the registration number, then that would imply would warrant the modification. But yeah, I leave it to you.
Okay, what is relevant is the information that is in this NTR seal. So if anything included here changes, then the seal shall be renewed and the verification passed again.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I can
clear.
add, basically what is inside the seal, the country, this NTR identifier, plus the organization name. If you change something of this, you have to verify again. Yes.
Very clear. Thank you very much. And this is another question that I seen popping up. What happens if the person that was in charge of EPREL and had a credential and everything just is gone from the company? How can the company or supplier just come to you and say, hey, this change, we need access because we lost our access?
Yeah, this happened many times, but Oscar can
this
explain.
happened many times already. So normally this person before going has to invite you in EPREL, okay, with the same role. But if they don't do, because this happens many times, they go and nobody thinks about EPREL, so nobody else can enter. You send an email to our support, okay, maybe with an official letter saying, I appoint this new administrator for the company, okay, with a signature or something, and I will invite you, or someone from the commission staff will invite you again to your company. So no problem. It can be done.
Okay. Then
so
another
typically a letter signed electronically signed by the CEO or a legal representative is the perfect document to let us switch the role of admin to another employee.
And I guess that writing directly to the help desk is the way to go, I would assume.
Yes. Don't write to me because sometimes I'm on holidays. So write to help desk is a functional email box, and there's always someone behind.
Yeah. And again, because that also I know is a case that happened if you have to transfer models from one company or to another, how does that happen? Should they also reach you, or can suppliers do that autonomously?
Yeah. They should reach the help desk again, asking to activate the functionality, okay? Because it's just the activation that you need as, we may change it in the future because, I mean, you can do it yourself, but okay, you send an email to help desk and you say, I want to transfer from this company to this company. Can you activate the functionality? We will activate it, and from there on, you do it yourself. There is a screen where you say, I'm going to say, send this trademark to this company, and everything is automatic. It's the activation that you need to request, yes. By email to help desk, no problem.
Yeah.
No need of official documents here, just send an email saying, I want to transfer from here to here, and we take care.
Very clear. And maybe just last question, maybe general one, on enforcement, which is also something that we care in Lighting Europe. There was a question on what happens if Google is showing a model or there's a mismatch between the label that they're showing and the product. Which type of agreement exists between Google and the Commission, or if they're doing that automatically just by pulling data, and if there is a mistake, who's responsible for it? Is there liability there?
Well, if it depends, because the supplier should communicate to Google the right number, then normally the right label should come out from EPREL. Then where the mistake could be, okay, depends.
Okay, fair enough. Clear. Thank you very much. I would say that we can close for the time being the Q&A, or yeah. I would say this, and I would refer to the links that have been shown so far. We'll also put the link for the wiki, because I think that's something that not everybody knows, and some good information is also there. So yeah, we'll also refer to the wiki for the future. And for the closing remarks, I would leave the floor to Elena.
Thanks a lot. So thanks a lot for this very rich edition of an EPREL webinar and demo. That's the third one organized together by Lighting Europe and DG Energy. The first one was in 2021, the second in 22. That's the third. So all in all, we reach out to more than 1,300 actors in the market. So that's our contribution to make sure that all participants, all actors in the market, not only from the lighting industry, get access to easy information on how to apply rules, in particular, in this case, on the EPREL database. So today we made a recap on all the latest novelties on EPREL. I would like to highlight again this big new portal of the EPREL database. Make sure you have a look since new FAQs are being uploaded, the wiki, EPREL as well, and have a look again at the regulation on how to apply the latest news on mandatory verifications of suppliers. I know that sounds maybe frustrating. It's frustrating for you. You might feel like that, like on top of registration, you also have to go for verification of your company. It's another layer of complexity, yes, but for good reason. This is made to avoid false identities. This is made to reduce the number of fake information on the EPREL database. So all in all, is in favor of all of you, companies and actors that want to play fair, want to follow the rules and comply. So it's for a fairer marketplace, which is indeed a key priority of Lighting Europe. So now it's time to recap, really, to say goodbye, to wrap up, to thank all of you participants, to thank Paolo, to thank Oscar. Now you are officially the parents of the EPREL database. Audio, video, slides will all be made available on our website, Lighting Europe website, but also posted on LinkedIn. So stay tuned. It takes at least a couple of hours to download the video, so you need to be patient, maybe a couple of hours more. Next one will be hopefully soon together again with DG Energy. Lighting Europe is also organizing other webinars in the future. So if you're interested, stay tuned, send your feedback via the survey that you will receive. And I would like to now say just good luck with the verification of your company and a lovely weekend to all of you. Thank you. Bye.
Just one question, maybe, because some of the questions put in online have not been answered, and I see, for example, the last one is even from an anonymous source. Will you keep them? Will you take care of collecting them and
Yes.
so that we can
Sure.
answer later on.
Sure, Paolo.
Absolutely.
If you give us your availability, we will take advantage of that. So we will try to, let's say, address the product-specific technical questions towards the national or European associations that represent the industry. And the more general one that we believe can be addressed by you, we will collect and send it to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot again,
Perfect.
all of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Paolo. Bye, Oscar.
Thank you very much.